Hello and welcome to GPTV on the most beautiful but chilly Tuesday the 6th of July. My name is Phillip Kingston.
I'm Gary Pearce.
Well, I'll tell you what, Gary, across the weekend, which was the most amazing and successful weekend, it was chilly, it was almost Arctic. But I had the solution, Gary, as you would expect me to be prepared for all things that eventuate across the weekend. You know what my secret was across the weekend, Gary?
Can't wait to find out.
Long underpants.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
the old long johns, eh?
The old
Is that
long
right?
johns. I've got to tell you, because I know that you would never do that because, you know, I can't
Too
do that,
conservative.
you know, too conservative, that's
Yeah.
girly, right? But let me tell you, you put your long johns on
Yep.
and it just takes the edge off the cold. So
See, that's where you being fit and me being a little bit more
schmaltzy,
a little bit more
blubbery,
full of love, right? Full of a bit more rounded, you know,
Yes.
maybe say, a bit more lovely,
Yeah.
maybe I'd like to think. This is where I have an advantage, Phil, because, you know,
Good
when
point.
you're very, very, like, when you're sort of, there's a bit rakey, like you are a bit rakey and thin and skinny, you feel the cold more. And when you're a bit more full-bodied, like a great wine, you don't feel it as much, Phil.
You're full-bodied,
Full-bodied,
Gary.
like a great glass of wine, like a
You're
beautiful
quite-
Shiraz.
You're quite voluptuous, really,
Well, I
aren't you?
thought you weren't going to say that, but now you have.
And voluptuous.
Just keep
It's
it
the
rolling.
full-bodied and voluptuous
version,
edition.
yep,
But
that's it.
viewers, if you want to beat the cold, go to look. There's a icebreaker. I think they've got a store at Chadstone in the basement area or the back in
What
that
are you
new
doing
section.
hanging around in Chadstone basements?
Anyway,
Creepy.
Icebreaker, Merino wool. It's a New Zealand company and fantastic undergarments where you will just smash the cold out of the park.
I tell you what I do, Phil. There's a thing called Canada Goose. You
Canada
can move Canada
Goose? Yeah, I am
Well, I
actually.
can tell you, I can walk in 2 degrees at night with the dog.
Yes.
Right, with the wind howling, with a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And just a Canada Goose jacket, Phil, because it's
Well-
made for like 20 minus.
Well, you know,
and it's,
if
fun.
you look at Canada in
Yeah.
winter,
Oh,
see,
yeah.
we have the
We
most
complain
joke
here.
of a winter here. I mean, it lasts for what 6 weeks winter here, and we don't have anything other than it rains a little bit, and it's gets down to 8, 7, 6 degrees in Canada in winter. Gary, can you focus here on the camera? In Canada in winter, it's like. A snow for 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
So
And
if you're
it's minus
Canadian,
20, yeah.
of course you're going to have a good jacket. Of course you're going to manufacture a jacket for the great outdoors. Winter in Melbourne is a different thing.
I think we stumbled last week on a word. We couldn't think of it when something is like something, and I think we heard was analogy or synonym. And Darcy said that to us. So unless Darcy's surname is synonym or analogy, I think Darcy said that. So we're going to send you something, Darcy, because we got a bit tongue-tied, Phil, and we didn't know when something resembles something, what was the word for it. And he said it was an analogy.
Oh,
Phil,
good on
or
you,
synonym, one
good
of
on
the
you,
two, yeah.
Darcy. We
Yeah,
wouldn't have
thanks.
too many Darcys watching, I don't think.
Hey, we've got a Dennis watching who happens to be, Dennis hits the button fast, Phil, because when it comes out on YouTube, he can see how many views there's been, and he's in there number 3 or 2 or 4, so good on you, Dennis. We love you for that. And by the way, Phil, I just want to talk about some of the results, but before I do, I've got a question for you and for the viewers here. Does the name of a street affect its value? So, like I'm selling a home at the moment, it's about to start for a good old friend of mine who I've reconnected with after all these years, who I'm so excited about, and it's in Murrumbeena, Phil, and the street's called Grandview Grove,
Yes,
right?
Grandview.
Now, Grandview Grove.
Yeah.
Now, I think that's a grand and beautiful and elegant name for a street. And I'm saying if Grandview Grove was here, and like, let's just say that, Smith Street was next door. Not I'm saying anything wrong with Smith, because a lot of Smiths watch the show.
Yes.
But it's a less grand name than Grandview.
Yes.
Does it affect the value? Like, would you say, well, I want to live in a street called Grandview Grove, or I want to live in the Boulevard?
Well, there are some
Kew,
rather odd names for
Yeah.
streets, Gary. Maybe we'll have a little bit of a competition
Yes, we
about
should.
the
The
oddest,
oddest street name, yeah.
street that you can
There's some good
think
ones,
of.
yeah.
But I think, Gary, the thing that always amazes me, and due respect to the good residents of Grandview Street in Murrumbeena.
And there's a Grandview Grove in
The-
Paran as well.
The question
Yeah.
is, what is the grand view that you're getting in Murrumbeena?
Well, maybe when it was built, Phil, maybe when that street had its name, maybe it was a little bit more elevated. You could see Nepean Highway, or you could see the cows at the back, going back a long time when streets were named, Phil.
No, I mean, look, Murrumbena's a
what is it?
thumping suburb now. and
Great,
it's
hot
By
suburb.
the way, viewers, if you want
On
to
the
make
way
some
up.
money in investing in real estate in a sleeper suburb that's going to catch
it's woken
fire,
up,
I
yeah.
would say it is Murrumbeena. But, if we talk about Grandview Grove in Paran, right?
Yep.
on a bit of a hill.
Yeah, beautiful
And at the time that was called Grandview,
Had some old
you would have had
mansions.
sweeping views
And some mansions
towards
of
the
Grandview Grove.
towards
They
the
were
city.
built at the time,
So
yeah.
I get it, but Grandview Grove, Grandview Street in Moorabbin, I'm just not sure what that Grandview is.
I'm not sure either. And it's when there's Beach Avenue and it's nowhere near a beach, you know.
Or like
Wave
we've got
Street.
Seaview in Caulfield South,
Yes.
right? I think
But that has got a Seaview.
I think there's one house
Yeah.
in Seaview
Yeah,
with a
well, they
sea view.
stamped the whole street because of it.
Speaking of Seaview viewers, thank you, Gary, for that kind of segue. Because
I don't think I gave you that.
We've got a house coming up in Seaview, Gary, that will knock you off your perch.
I know, it's a pretty
Unbelievable.
spunky house.
I can't wait
Does anyone
to
say
show...
spunky anymore?
No, only misogynist bastards that are still living in the 70s
What?
and 80s.
Oh, come on. Girls in the 70s and 80s used to say, he's a spunky guy. That was okay to say that. They weren't misogynist bastards.
No, but that's like only a misogynist bastard like yourself, Gary.
Would remember that term?
A misogynist old-fashioned bastard like yourself would say spunky.
I don't know. I reckon I'm bringing spunky back. We're bringing spunky back. I reckon it was a good term.
Yeah.
You know what? People had. I mean, in America, if you say that person's got spunk, it's a very different meaning to what it is in Australia. It's got a different
Gary,
meaning
that's
altogether.
enough. Thank you
Anyway,
very
but I
much.
liked spunky. I reckon it's a good, friendly, happy, upbeat. You know, there were lots of spunky things happening in the 70s. I'm bringing spunk back. Let's bring spunk back. Spunky back. Phil, I'll stay away from it because it's getting creepy.
This is just a
I want to talk a
horrible
bit. I want to
addition.
talk a little bit about the weekend that was, Phil, because it was a cold weekend, and I remember getting out of the
You
car.
want to talk about the weekend,
There was,
Gary,
yeah.
that Gary Peer and Associates are failures.
What are you talking? What failures are we?
Well, Gary,
What happened? We got
this
some
is
great results.
this is a company that always smashes the lights out of the industry.
Yeah.
Well, the industry this week
Yeah.
flogged us. The industry clearance rate flogged Gary Peer and
This is an
Associates.
embarrassment. We've got to have a long, hard look at ourselves.
The industry came in at 80%, right? 80% clearance, which is a really good clearance.
Yeah.
Anything over 70% viewers, that's a great clearance.
Yeah.
But the industry came in, smashed everything with an 80% clearance rate and flogged Gary Peer and Associates, who came in at 79%.
Oh, that's a bitter disappointment, Phil. A bitter
I
disappointment.
think our
Put those
entire
towers up.
team
Yeah, put
needs
those
to have
towers
a
up.
good look at themselves.
Hey Phil, at my bridge class the other night,
Your
I was
bridge class.
I love that. I was sitting.
Did you go in a motorised wheelchair, or did you actually push it yourself?
Do you know? I think that's an insult to your parents, who are bridge players and very fit, healthy, and strong bridge players for their age. So I resemble that remark. But I've got to say, Phil, that I was sitting at bridge with a Collingwood supporter and a Melbourne supporter, and.
Now that let me just think about this for a minute.
Okay, yeah.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I was sitting at my bridge class with a Collingwood supporter.
Yeah, that's
I mean, how does a Collingwood supporter get to a bridge class?
I know. So, you know what? If you looked at the Collingwood membership list and you tried to match it to bridge, if you were running a bridge club and you said, I'm going to try to get the database of Collingwood supporters and get them over, I'll pay anything for it.
But
wouldn't be a very good investment.
Imagine if the president, the new president of Collingwood, is watching, and it gets out that Collingwood supporters are now
it's just one.
Bridge players.
It's just one, and she's a very good bridge player. I'll have you know.
I reckon that person, if they find that person at the footy, there will be the cameras will be on a mass
that's right.
beating. that bridge player, that Collingwood's bridge player with a beautifully tied scarf around his or her neck, is going to be publicly flogged.
Exactly right.
By
Beaten
the
and
Collingwood cheer
thrown
squad.
out the back of Bay 13 or whatever it might be.
It's just denigrating the whole
Anyway,
Collingwood
it is a bit of a
football club.
contradiction, isn't it? But anyway, I sat there, Phil, with Collingwood supporter, Melbourne supporter, Carlton supporter, and I thought, I don't know, my weekend was pretty good. How was yours? You know? Very rare that we get to have that sort of joy.
That's a good
well
win
done,
by
the Blues.
Carlton.
I went there. I went and saw the game because, on a Sunday, when was it, Sunday night or Saturday night? We can go to the footy Saturday. We can't go Saturday and Sunday because we're too busy with work. But Saturday night I got there with all the other 12,000 people. It was like you could hear someone whisper. It was very unusual. But anyway, well done to the Blues. So a little bit of heart for the old Blue Boys. Phil, the results on the weekend.
Bridge lesson.
The results, Phil, for the weekend were pretty strong. I've got to say that I had the pleasure of conducting an auction in the Avenue, which sold very, very well, Philip. Lots of competition. $735,000 for this apartment, Philip. It was a record price on that block. It's a great block. I love that block. Sold there before. Got another one in there coming up. But amazing, 735, lots of bidders, Phil. So well done to the buyers and sellers alike there. Glenferrie Road, Malvern, Phil, another apartment that went well. Now look, every time an apartment or sale goes well, there's always a cynic that says, "Oh, you underquoted that. Went for $200,000 more. You underquoted that. You underquoted that." So I just want to say something about this.
Can I just cut in because you're on? I just want to add to what you're about to say, viewers. Underquoting is where an agent quotes less than the figure that they've quoted to the vendor. So on an auction authority or a sale authority, if we write 1 to 1.1 million as the figure that we've given to the vendor, if we quote less than 1 million, remember we've quoted 1 to 1.1, if we quote less than $1 million, that is underquoting. If we quote 1 to 1.1 million and the competition takes it to 1.2 or 1.3 or 1.4, that's not underquoting. That's called a really good result.
And a strong competitive auction.
Sorry to cut in.
No,
Does that make sense?
It makes sense because you can't quote on a record price that you haven't yet attained, that you don't know you're going to get. And that's what happens. And I mean, I look at our auctions on the weekend and, we didn't sell them all. Some we sold right on the price. Some went through the roof. But every time you go through the roof, you can't just be accused of underquoting. It's just going to happen. I mean, every agent in Paran, they were properly selling for $1 million over reserve and $500,000. The suburb of Paran's hot. Does that make all the agents villains because the suburb's hot and things are running away?
We had a sale in South Caulfield on the weekend, Gary, that sold for a good $300,000 plus. Over our range, which was
over what the vendor would sell for, over what was expected.
20%. Now, I've got to tell you, there is no statistical evidence looking back for us to say, well, that's worth 1.9. Now, that's going to form the evidence for further sales moving forward. But you're right, we cannot quote to vendors what they might get,
or what could be a record
everything goes extremely well.
Could be a record price.
I wish the public would just calm down a little bit, because it's interesting across the weekend. I think we had 36 sales last weekend, Gary, and I reckon of those 36, 25 of them probably sold in the range, or less, some even at the bottom of the range. So what's going to happen is are we going to be criticised for every sale that is a remarkable result?
And I think agents need to be able to just work to get the vendor the best price and be as open as they can with buying public. When we put price ranges up, it's an indication of the fact that things are going better than expected and the price might be more than we originally thought. So it's just, it's gone a bit crazy, I think. And you'll only hear about this in markets, by the way, where prices are going up. When things are going down or flat, you'll never hear about it. So
we never have the general public ringing or writing to the newspaper saying, look, the market's not going very well. We'd just like to have a shout out to all of the agents that are doing it tough.
Nor we hear about the vendors that don't get their prices, about when someone thought they'd get more than they got. That doesn't make headlines either.
Anyway, the life of an agent, Gary. We're holding the world up upon our shoulders.
We do sometimes, Phil. 11355 Glenferrie Road. Well, that sold for a lot more than expected. Quoted 6660, sold for $725,000. Phil, 128 Kangaroo Road. Now again, this is a record price, and again, the cynic will say, "Oh, well, you underquoted it," because every time you get a record or a premium result, that's what we get thrown at us. But the reality is that this was quoted at 135 to 1485. We expected and hoped to get interest in that range, and of course for our vendor we wanted to get more than that, as every vendor would want, every vendor does want. We sold this for $1,660,000, Phil. That is a record price.
Gary, not is it a new record price, but keep in mind this was Saturday afternoon and it was cold. And this swimming pool in this gorgeous house is not heated, to the best of my knowledge. Well, our vendor was so delighted that he had sold his property well over the top of the quoting range. He wanted to just cool down his incredible emotions. So what did he do? He did what every normal St Kilda supporter would do when they're successful.
Have a look at this. Now, we've heard about auctioneers jumping in the pool. At Gary Peer and Associates, we much prefer our vendors to do it than the agents. So we just like to stay nice and dry and ready for our next auction. But well done to the vendor there, and congratulations.
Well, shout out to the vendors of that home, who are Justin and Kath, who are the nicest people. I've got to tell you, people like Justin and Kath make our business just so much better, because dealing with people that are great from start to finish, that just follow your advice and do everything that we ask them to do, well done, because you did get an amazing price and you did set a new record.
Thanks for coming on board with us. 812 Glenferrie Road. Phillip sold for $1,220,000. Again, somewhat of a record price. Great result, premium price. Phil, 489 Neerim Road. Well, we had a lot of pleasure in selling that in the weekend, and well done to the buyer who we know, who we've met around the traps.
That little pocket there of Glen Huntly, which is between Neerim Road and Glen Huntly Road.
Yep.
You can walk to the train station. You've got the redevelopment of the race course there. I'm loving that little pocket of
Caulfield
where
East,
Glen Huntly
yep.
meets East Caulfield, meets South Caulfield. Love it there. There's a tip for you, viewers.
I'm with you on that, Phil. And this one sold well. We know the building well, and I think that might have been, again, a record price on the building, Phil, or certainly one of the highest prices ever paid there, if not the highest price at $841,000.
Speaking of the Caulfield redevelopment, let's get David Southwick in to have a chat, because David Southwick, and yes, viewers, we're not going political on you. If you are a Labor supporter, we will also have people from the Labor Party on, but David Southwick, who is our local member for this area, has been instrumental, I believe, in getting the racing, what is it called, Racing Victoria?
Yes,
Racing Victoria? The Caulfield Racecourse proposed redevelopment there. We should get David on to have a chat with us about it, because it's going to be incredible.
And it's something big that's happening in our hood. So good idea, Phil. We make sure you follow him up.
I'll ring David.
Yep. And we don't, it's not a political thing. It's just about what's happening in Caulfield.
So if you've got somebody from the Labor Party, or from the Greens, or from the Nationals, the Sex Party,
the Fishers and Fishermen, and
the Fishermen's Party.
Exactly
if you know somebody from all of those political organisations, in fairness of balance, we'll have them all on.
Yeah, all the same time.
We could have a debate, Gary.
We could have a debate
as to whether the Caulfield Racecourse that has been pushed along by David Southwick, we can have a debate with all of those parties here to see whether he's done a good job or not.
Fair enough, we should do that. I'm not sure we will do that, but let's just get David on for starters. Phil, a couple of places we didn't sell, and I want to talk about it because I think we've got one property out there that I consider to be a significant and seriously good buy, Phil. In fact, I would say this is our screaming value buy of the week, so I think we need a bit of a scream on that. Thank you. Love the scream. Phil, 24 at 327 Orrong Road. That one I auctioned on the weekend. We passed it in, but we've got a reserve of $549.5. And I've got to say, Phil, that if you're looking for an apartment out there between $5 and $550, this is the best one you'll see. So come along to that.
Well, you've got the Alma Village on your doorstep and the tram and Dandenong Road. So just a great opportunity for either an investment or a great quality of life.
Some great images now you've seen on screen, but that is a really, really good apartment for that sort of price, Phil. Also, I just want to draw attention to 2 at 66A Balaclava Road, Phil, which you didn't sell, but
Gary,
what a beautiful property.
Beautiful. That's a 3-bedroom plus study, so it could be 4 bedrooms if you want. But that's it's on the elevated first floor. I call that a penthouse, even though technically it's not a penthouse. But great development and beautiful quality. Excuse me.
Did you just burp then?
No, I just a little bit of gas. Yeah.
Frightening. And he calls me disgusting. Anyway, I think it was a burp.
It's just one of those little reverse burps where you kind of burp without burping.
It's kind of an inverted burp, perhaps. Yeah. Fair enough. Anyway, a great property, that one in Balaclava Road. And for people, by the way, that worry about stuff that gets passed in, because it's funny, isn't it? When you go and speak to vendors, they go, "What'll happen if it gets passed in?"
Yeah.
You know, like, "Oh, what about if it's if it's passed in?" And I've got to say that most of our passed in stuff sells very quickly. I mean, we never really review a lot of the sales, because even this week in our sales meeting, Phil, yesterday, we had a big list of stuff that we'd sold.
We did,
and some of that stuff had been passed in. So don't worry.
36 sales last week. Shout out to our sales team who were really going at it hard. There were deals. There were transactions. Transactions are so much nicer than deals, isn't it? There were transactions coming left, right and centre right through to late at night, right through the week. So shout out to the best sales team on the planet, because we were busy last week.
Love yous all. Is this about boasting or about complimenting our sales team?
It was
or a combination of the two?
It was about 2 for the price of 1, Gary.
Phil,
but a lovely boast.
You're off this weekend, by the way. You know, we put you out.
Am I
You're supposed
really
to go
off
away.
This weekend?
Yeah,
well, where was I going to go? Where was I going to go, Gary?
I
could go on a road trip to Geelong,
Portsea or the hills.
Been to Geelong for a long time. Apparently, there's a Hyatt down in Geelong overlooking the.
Nothing wrong with Geelong.
Overlooking. I don't know what is it overlooking Geelong.
The sewer.
Shout out to all of our Geelong viewers. I've no idea what the Hyatt looks over, but I'm sure whatever it is, it's it's probably about the best thing that it can look over.
Yes, Carlton playing Geelong next week too. I'm sure they're going to put us away well and truly. But you know, there's so many great places to go in Melbourne. We don't really talk about it, but my brother-in-law just went to Hillsville, Phil.
Yes.
Yeah, the best time, talking about all the great restaurants. So enjoy and celebrate Victoria, because you can go regional, Phil. Why aren't you doing that? Why don't you go somewhere regional? Get away somewhere, have a few days off, freshen up. It'll be good for you, I reckon. So with you away, Phil, we just need to talk about what's going to happen this week and this weekend. We've still got plenty of work on, but not as much as usual. July, traditionally a very quiet month, Phil, but probably this is one of our busier Julys.
I think we'll have a busy July, Gary.
I think so too.
Take me out for one weekend's not going to slow the whole steam engine down.
Maybe actually do something to get some leisure, because I think you're a bit tired. I think
tired.
Yeah, no, I think you're
tired.
Yeah,
I did 11 auctions over the weekend,
no,
and I'm bouncy and perky.
No, I think
tired.
you're a bit tired. I think it's all the front. I think
Tired.
you're inside. You're exhausted. You just need to collapse somewhere on a couch and relax, Phil. I'm hoping that you
Wouldn't
do that.
mind going
refresh
north, though. Wouldn't mind
Yeah, I
going
know.
to Queensland.
Wouldn't
But
mind
you know,
going to Bali.
can I take the risk of getting on a plane and going to Queensland, and then the Queenslanders saying no, you can't go back to Victoria, or the Victorians saying no, you can't come from Queensland? It's all a mess. It's all a mess.
Well,
the sooner you all get your virus injections, AstraZeneca or Pfizer, or just get something and
What are you waiting
let this
for?
world get
Have
back.
you had the
Of
injection?
course I've had it.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely, I've had it.
Why wouldn't you? Of
AstraZeneca,
course.
you know.
You have to get the injection. It's ridiculous not to have it.
Big deal.
Yep. Wednesday, Phil, 4 o'clock, we've got the EOI, which ends in this wonderful property in Watertree Road.
Well, Gary, what a penthouse apartment that is. Absolutely magnificent. 3 bedrooms and 2.5 magnificent bathrooms, and a view that pretty much cannot ever be built out because it just looks out over Wattletree Road. Bedrooms are at the back, wrap-around balcony. It's incredible.
We're not waiting for the weekend to auction, Phil. We've got a little bit of a twilight evening auction. We love those. Thursday, 6 p.m. in Linlithgow Avenue.
Gary, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, 1 lock-up garage. That's a great property in Linlithgow. Viewers is one of the best addresses of Caulfield.
We move on to Saturday,
North.
Phil. Where both of us are auctionless, but there's still 5 auctions on at 10:30. Double auction action. We're going to be at Dandenong Road. We love it there at 10:30 a.m.
We do 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, 1 car space. Shout out to Mark Kirkham, who's got the pleasures there. That's a great property in Paran.
Same time, Phil, we're going to be in Elwood in Mitford Street. We're going to be there twice on Saturday. 10:30
Gary,
we start.
how beautiful is this? This
Love
is
that,
Poets
Phil.
Corner,
It
Gary,
is.
and this is one of the corner apartments. So this is about as good as it gets. In fact, this is such classic architecture. It's magnificent. That is 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and incredible living areas. I mean, that could really be easily converted into a 2-bedroom.
Phil, you can meander through from Mitford Street and Poets Corner, in through Barclay Street, down Ackland Street, even through Fitzroy Street if you want to have a coffee and some lunch. And come on back to Mitford Street, because at 12:30, Phil, we have 323 Mitford Street going up for auction.
Gary, a beautiful, beautiful property. This one, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, 1 car space. That's just an incredible property.
Shout out to Jeremy Rosens, Phil, who's a great auctioneer and he's done so many last week. He's just about had his record, I think, 5 or 6 on Saturday. So good on you, Jem. Good to see you out there doing your thing as an auctioneer. And your 3rd auction on Saturday is at 1:30 p.m. in Egerton Road, Armadale. Great
Gary,
address.
terrific property. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, 1 car space. And that's a great location because you've got the tram of Wattletree Road and Dandenong Road at either end. And walk, of course, to Glenferrie Road, High Street, Armadale, the train station of both Armadale and Malvern. So you just don't get a better position.
That's for sure. Leo Samuel pops up together with Daniel Peer for our afternoon auction, Phil, at 3:30, 3 at 481 Kooyong Road, Elstree. What a great address.
Gary, again, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, 1 car space. Really lovely building that. So you can't go wrong buying something like that.
I've got a couple of auctions, Phil, that I'm doing on Sunday, and I'm looking forward to it. At 10:30 a.m. is 12 at 231 Glen Huntley Road, Elstree.
Again, a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, 1 car space with a beautiful courtyard garden, Gary, and a shared storeroom. So that's a good property.
Love this block in Pine Street, Phil. We've got a 2-bedroom villa, single level. Love this sort of real estate.
Well, Gary, that is walking distance to both the tram and Hawthorn Road and Glen Huntley Road, and all of the shops and cafes on your doorstep. That is 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and a lock-up garage, Gary.
Jeremy Rosens wraps up the weekend, Phil. He's going to be in Hawthorn Road. That's at 406 at 77 Hawthorn Road. That has been handled by Glen
A
Bricker.
magnificent building, Gary, right there opposite the park. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, basement car parking for 2 cars, and a storage cage, Gary. Everything that you want and more.
And that, Phil, as the door opens at the back and interrupts us. That is a big wrap on this July edition of GPTV. Phil, there is so much happening in the market. It feels very different this July because there's a lot going on, and usually July is sort of very quiet and docile. There's not much inquiries, not that many buyers around. But now, this week and this year has been very, very busy.
It's a year unlike any other, Gary, but it's a better year than last year.
Oh, yeah.
And each year from now, as our vaccinations kick in and Australia starts to open up, it's just going to get better and better. And my tip, Gary, is once the borders open to Australia, I think you're going to see a property boom unlike any other, because if you were thinking about moving to another country in the world, where else would you go? Even in good times, you'd say Australia, but in COVID times, you've got to look at our country and go, hey, I want to live there.
I want to live in that lucky country, Phil. It is indeed a lucky country, and we're blessed to live here. And we will continue to bring you all the real estate news, whether you like it or not, on GPTV, week in, week out. Episode, I don't know, 500 or thereabouts, getting to that now. I don't know how we just keep going, Phil, but we do. Have a wonderful weekend off, and let's bring it all back next week on GPTV. I'm Gary Pearce.
I'm Phillip Kingston. Have a fantastic week.